Welcome back to the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net, 90.1 FM KBPK, in conjunction with Fullerton College TV. I am Ryan Osborne, and today I got interviews with Coach Tim Burns, quarterbacks coach Kevin Sampson, and fullback Roderick Fields. On Saturday, Fullerton unfortunately lost 24 to 17 against Golden West. They were up 17-7 going into the fourth quarter, but Golden West was able to come back and end up taking away the win. Trey Tinsley ended up with 267 yards. Unfortunately for the Hornets, he was picked off 3 different times. The big deal was that they couldn't really establish the rushing game. You had Brito and Thomas only rushing for a total of 48 yards. I'm here with Tim Burns, head coach of the Fullerton College Hornets. Coach, on Saturday, not the result you guys were looking for. What was your reaction after the game?
We're struggling still a little bit, and we had that game, 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and we get outscored 17-0. We just can't do those types of things.
What did allow them to get back into the game?
We turned the ball over, and we didn't ever establish a run game throughout, and I think those two things really killed us.
Talking about turning the ball over, Trey was intercepted 3 times. Was that more their defense or your offense?
No, Trey made a couple mistakes, but once again, when you throw the ball 50 times, you're going to make some mistakes, and that's unfair to put him in that situation. But obviously, if he's in that situation, he needs to make the best out of it and make good decisions.
You talked about the run game just a moment ago. Normally, you guys like to shoot the B gap with Pop Thomas and Jake Brito. Unfortunately, they only got 40 yards worth of rushing. What went wrong on that aspect?
We threw the ball way too much. That's just all I could say, and that won't happen this week.
In the past couple weeks, you have been throwing flat passes to the running back in the flat. Is that something that you guys are trying to incorporate more?
We're just trying to get the ball to the backs any way we can. We think they're a good part of a key part of our program, and since we're not blocking that well up front, we've been trying to get it to them in space.
Now, looking at your defensive backs, they do play about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. What's the advantage to that compared to a bump and run?
The defensive backs, we play different coverages. Sometimes they're bump and run, sometimes they're 5 yards off, and they're doing a jam technique. So it just really depends on what we're calling at the time. Sometimes it's advantage, and sometimes it's not. Last week, they made some great plays, and we were all over the guy getting the ball, and their guy just made a better play than our guy, and that just happens sometimes.
What is a jam technique?
It's just when you're off and the guy's coming up to run the route, and you basically stop him in his tracks is what you do.
We're talking about the defensive backs. Sometimes you guys pull one of the linebackers out and put in an extra defensive backs, bringing in 5. What's the advantage of that?
Just more speed on the field to guard their receivers instead of a linebacker.
You guys have actually kept the opposing offenses slightly under their average for passing each time that you guys have played in the past 3 weeks. What has allowed you guys to not allow them to establish their offense fully?
I think our defense is a good defense. I just think that we've kind of let them hang a little bit from our offense, and so therefore we need to put a full game together where the offense is running the football, controlling the game, and the defense is doing what they've been doing so far.
Tavis Guerra on Saturday had a field goal. That makes him 9 for 10 on the season. Does he give you some more confidence once you get near the red zone?
Yeah, we'll always have confidence with him, but he's really 9 for 9 because the one that he missed was blocked. So what I'm saying, it wasn't like he missed it.
On Saturday, you guys were rotating the offensive linemen into different positions. Jack White, Alan Prieto, Briante Matthews. Is it important to make sure that they know every position on the offensive line?
We got quite a few offensive linemen banged up, so we're having to make shift some things, and that's basically what we've been doing.
Looking at Trey Tinsley, he's been passing to your wide receivers who, for the most part, have 86% of their touches within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. Is that something that's designed by the coaches?
Those easy passes we want to get, but we need to be able to throw the ball downfield and complete them, and that's what we're not doing a very good job of right now.
Your linebackers, mainly in the McCarthy brothers, they like to come up and bluff that blitz. What advantage does that give you guys over the opposing offense?
We just need to be able to blitz and then show blitz and get out of it and, give them different looks so they don't know exactly what we're doing.
What are you looking for, or what is there to watch for against Riverside on Saturday?
They're a great football team. They're the number one team in the state right now. But, if we put our things together, I think it's going to be a real competitive game. And if we make plays at the end of the game, we'll have a good opportunity to win. If we don't, we're going to lose.
Your wide receivers, very talented. Do you like to put them on isolation or just make sure each and every one runs their routes?
Well, we need to do both. At times when they're playing zone, we got to make sure we're playing zone. They got to make sure that they're running the routes. When they get isolations, they got to beat a guy man to man.
Thank you, Coach. I was with the head coach of the Fullerton College Hornets, Tim Burns. I'm catching up with Kevin Sampson, quarterbacks coach here at Fullerton College. Coach Sampson, when you are training a quarterback here at Fullerton, what's the first thing you want to emphasize?
Well, there's a lot of things. There's not any one particular issue, but the first thing in terms of mechanics is to be able to, it's about feet and eyes. We're going to have a lot of guys that have good arms, but it's really about feet and how they move their feet, and then about how they see the field. So in terms of biomechanics, those are the things that we look at. And then the other issue is leadership. Do we have guys that are going to come in, they're going to touch the ball every play, every offensive play. So we gotta know that guy is going to be able to handle the ball and manage the game.
Now, mentioning reading the play, how important is it to make sure that a quarterback knows how a play is going to develop?
Well, they have to know the play, so the first part of it is play knowledge. They have to understand the play. So we ask a quarterback every time they come out of a huddle to look at the clock and know what the clock time is, because time is going to be a factor to them. The next thing we ask them for is the issue of formation, whether they've deployed their guys right. So these are things that are at the basic level that whether you're a high school quarterback, college quarterback, pro quarterback, you have to be able to sit your guys and know what you're looking at in terms of time. Once that happens, play knowledge will kind of dictate and how we start to identify very quickly what the defensive coverage and the defensive alignment is. At that point in time, they'll make the decisions, and they're patterned or trained as they are right now to go through their reads. Once they go through their reads, that's what they do and follow through. So in terms of reading issues, that's really, you have to come in with a mindset that you already have play knowledge, and you also have an understanding of defensive scheme. So it's a chess game. It's really playing 22 athletes on a field in a chess game and saying that's where we go with the advantage, that's where the ball goes.
Talking about making sure that you have play knowledge, how important is it to not only have that play knowledge, but when you're going into a game, have confidence that you can execute?
Well, confidence comes out of one thing, and that's training. It's just like if you're in the military. I used to go to a military academy. And the aspect is confidence training builds confidence and preparation. So when stress hits, and a game is very stressful, obviously playing football and playing quarterback, very stressful position. You can't go in on your heels and not knowing what's happening, because that's a recipe for disaster. Really what you have to have is training over and over and over. And when we see that they're not handling the pressure or the stress, we have to put them in situations where they get confidence in doing that. That leads to success on a football field, ultimately, for any athlete, but particularly a quarterback.
Some people who don't know the game as well say that the quarterback is just the guy who throws the football. What would be your response to that?
Well, they're really the field general of a football game offensively, because they are not just throwing a ball. Remember that many of the plays, we don't throw the ball at all. They're called running plays, or whether the quarterback runs it or a running back runs it, they're running the football. So just the angles that quarterbacks take, the angles in terms of from the exchange backwards or the follow-throughs. But really the game is managed by the quarterback in terms of what they see. Again, what we were talking about before is the scheme, our deployment, and our scheme offensively, and how that in the chess game is going to be played out in terms of chaotic moving people on a football field. So throwing the football, while it's important particularly for throwing teams, is not as important as the ability to manage time, the ability to manage where the ball's going in terms of correctly. So I'd rather have a play that we're moving up and down the field, but we're handing the ball off because we're not getting the throwing lanes, let's say, rather than getting a guy out there throwing the ball all the time that doesn't know where the ball should go. That doesn't help any offensive team.
How important is communication?
Well, communication's everything in this game because we're making play calls, we're making calls at the line, we're audibleizing, we come off the field and talk about adjustments. So if you don't communicate, and frankly that's one of the jobs that I have on the sidelines, is to ensure um, intra-player or intra-offense communication about what are we seeing, who are the personnel, what are the schemes that we're seeing, do we have the right deployment of people, are we using our time right? So all those become a factor, and communication's at the heart. So if you have a quarterback that doesn't know how to communicate, I can show you an offense that's not going to be very good at that time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I was with the quarterback coach here at Fullerton College, Kevin Sampson. So now I'm talking with Roderick Fields, fullback for Fullerton College. Roderick, what goes into being a fullback?
Going in, being a fullback is basically, a lot of hard work. A lot of plays can be determined by, how much effort you put into it. So, it's most definitely a lot of stress when playing fullback. If you miss your block or don't catch a pass, they can be the difference between a first down, a touchdown, or even, just something better, greater, a 10-yard gain or something like that. It's just a lot depends on you about what I do. So it's most definitely a lot of stress and stressful. So, a lot comes into it with, studying film or, different things like that, just making sure my game on type.
How difficult is it to size up a defender and block him?
It's most definitely difficult, especially when you're going against smaller guys like me. I weigh like 265, it's most definitely difficult when you're going against someone smaller and they're able to put little different moves on you. So you always got to keep your feet moving at all times, keep a good base set, just things like that.
Is it a case of whoever moves first?
Not necessarily. It's just it's always gonna be someone better than you, on the defense or on the offensive level, but you just got to beat them with technique. Sometimes, you got to do different things. When they do different things, it's just all according to what the defender does. If he go outside, then you got to block him outside. If he comes inside, then you just got to go ahead and man up, and take him on.
Now, when you do get those handoffs and try to pound it up the middle, what are you looking for when you're going into the line of scrimmage?
It's really, you just got to build up everything that you got inside and got to have the determination that you're going to get inside the end zone. So what I do is when I get the ball, I'm looking to score every time. I just cuff the ball and drop my shoulders and try to get as many yards as I can. Possibly, run over the defender. Anything I got to do to get around them or get into the end zone, that's what I'm going to have to do.
Is it essential to use your size when you are running?
Most definitely, it's a big advantage. A lot of guys, it got some pros and cons with it. If you're a bigger guy, then a lot more people gonna go lower, like your knees and your ankle and stuff like that. Just got to be able to maneuver and pick your feet up while running and different things like that. Just basically fullback, basically running back. You just gotta, you just not more as athletic as the running back is. It's just, I just want to run people over. That's all I want to do.
How hard is it to keep your composure when the other defensive players, like you said, are going for your ankles or your knees?
I've been playing football for approximately 14 years, so it's just a thing that you deal with over time. It don't really bother me. It's just if they getting me down going lower, I just need to go lower. And lower man always win. So when I go lower, if they go low, I'm gonna have to go low right with them, and just make the best out of every handoff or block or whatever might be coming my way.
Now, let's say you're in the I formation, you're going off to the left side, but the running back improvises. What do you do to try to make sure that you open a way for him?
Just keep a wide base, and just sometimes you might have to choose, depending on which play it is. Depending on what gap you're going through, you just have to, find your path. Just like the running back has to find the hole, fullback has to find the hole, and you just got to make the best decision. It's kind of like you kind of the brains for the running back before he get the ball. And he gonna have to follow up behind me. So whatever hole I hit, I'm looking to, possibly gain 5 to 10 yards or even a greater gain than that. So I just pick the best hole and try to try my best to get my assignment and then do what I need to do.
So you just clear space and then allow them to make the decision?
That's basically what it is. You give them the opportunity. You just basically got to get them a split second. Just open up a hole or move this guy to the left or move this guy to the right, or even knock him down or chop him or whatever you want to do. Personally, I don't like to chop, but you just got to open up a hole for them for that split second so they can do what they need to do.
talking about a split second, how quickly do you have to make a decision on which way you're going to go?
It like football, it isn't a thinking thing. You got to be born with it. It's just that sense of awareness and different things like that. I think it's just basically God given. You got to have that ability to make quick decisions and on the drop of a dime. That's real fast. You got to be able to make quick decisions.
Well, thank you. I was with Roderick Fields, fullback for the Fullerton College Hornets. Don't forget to tune in next week where we will preview the 50th anniversary celebration of the 1965 National Championship team for the Fullerton College Hornets at the Key to the County game. In 1965, Coach Hal Scherbeck led the team to the Junior Rose Bowl and a 10-0 record. They beat Henderson County 20-14 to claim outright that national championship trophy. So there you have it. This is the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net, 90.1 FM KBPK in conjunction with Fullerton College TV.